Kami mga instances na pwedeng magamit at sana wag naman.
PNP Chief Guillermo Elizar said he has already ordered the creation of a technical working group to study and incorporate recent rules promulgated by the High Court.
Ito nga will make our operations more transparent sa ating mga kababayan. And ito naman yung matagal nang pinag-uusapan. While it's true na hindi naman talaga this will not solve everything, but basically this will help us to become more accountable in everything that we do.
The Philippine National Police has distributed the first 3,000 body cameras to be used in serving search and arrest warrants and police patrol operations. How will the body cams guard against police abuse? We discuss in this episode of The Chiefs. Welcome to this Wednesday edition of The Chiefs. Of course, with us tonight on set is Robbie Lampay of One News. Hi, Robbie. And of course, joining us online, Ana Marie Pamintuan of Philippine Star and Lucy Cruz Valdez, the head of News 5. Ladies and Robbie, happy midweek.
Happy Wednesday.
Siguro, irekta na natin sa guest natin tonight. Maraming tayong pag-uusapan with our guest tonight. We are pleased to have with us again the Chief of the Philippine National Police, General Guillermo Elizar. Sir, magandang gabi and welcome back to The Chiefs.
Good evening, General.
Magandang gabi sa inyo.
Magandang gabi po.
Yes, Ed, Rob, Lucy, and Ami, ganoon din sa mga nakikinig at nanonood sa ating programa.
Yes, sir. Well, the Supreme Court is now requiring body cams in serving search and arrest warrants, and failure to do so may result in some of the evidence being inadmissible in court. Of course, may mga provisos naman yan in case of malfunctions and all that. Pero my question to you is this, with that requirement, how do you intend to operationalize this, considering that you have so far, 2,696 body cameras so far, for a police force of 160,000.
Yes, actually, Ed, we received the resolution actually this week, itong Supreme Court resolution, and I created a technical working group para pag-aralan ito. In fact, talaga nasa process pag-aaral pa yan kasi yung may mga bagong mga provisions doon na kailangang i-apply natin and will be implemented in the guidelines that will be issuing for our personnel to be followed. Kasi initially, just like what I said earlier, we have distributed almost 3,000 body-worn cameras, but these were distributed to around 171 police units. Kailangan pa namin dito ng more than 30,000 units pa or body-worn cameras para dun sa more than 1,500 or 700 na police units natin. Meaning to say, only 8% of our requirement were given to our police stations. And based on the Supreme Court guideline or itong resolution, meron din dapat na gamitin kami na kung ang mga police units natin were not issued with body-worn cameras, gagamitin nila itong mga alternative. Recording device na pwede mga cellphone as may mga specification. So bago sa atin yun, kaya nga nagkaroon tayo ng mga adjustment na dapat na gawin. So medyo mahaba-haba, bali parang 16 page itong Supreme Court resolution na hinimay-himay ng ating TWG or Technical Working Group so that we can come up with these finalized or revised guidelines for our personnel. At kanina, I attended one of the meetings of this TWG. Meron kami mga issues and concerns na gusto namin ilapit din sa Supreme Court para mapag-usapan pa at i-raise sa kanila so that we can be effective on the implementation of these guidelines.
Ano po yung mga katanungan nyo? Ano po yung mga katanungan nyo, mga concerns nyo na gusto nyo isang guni sa Supreme Court?
Well, unang-una, itong ating body camera, meron kaming, ito kasi part ng aming storage and safekeeping, hindi talaga pwedeng itamper siya. And then the court required na every time na magkakaroon kami ng arrest, kailangan nga na it should be recorded. And every time that the case will be filed against the arrested suspects, so itong data recording nito will be submitted to them. So, napag-alaman ko na itong aming recording is hindi siya, kung ire-record siya or ilipat siya sa isang storage device, encrypted siya na hindi man mababasa ng korte. So, ito yung isa sa mga aming ina-assess or ina-analyze. And another thing is that while it is true that we have body-worn camera, pero kukunti lang nga yan, for the alternative recording device, nire-require na lahat ng operation natin that involves arrest, kailangan ng recording device. So meaning to say, anywhere in the Philippines, lahat ng operation natin, and even those majority or 90% of our police stations or units na walang body-worn camera, they have to use alternative recording device. So,
Ano po
yun
ibig
sa
sabihin?
problema
Yung
namin.
alternative po, like smartphone. We
Ay.
presume lahat naman ng may smartphone. Ito po, counted po to na alternative
Yes,
recording
tama.
device.
Pwede yun. Pero may specification na nakalagay
Yes,
doon.
sir.
And we
Kailangan
would like
8
to
hours,
clarify.
good for recording for 8 hours, ha? Sir?
Yes, tama yun.
Minimum
And
yun.
since that will be submitted do sa korte, ika-clarify namin kasi yung cellphone, dapat talagang dedicated siya for that operation. So at saka pati may specification siya eh. So, hindi naman, what if ang ating mga pulis naman, hindi pwede yung mga cellphone nila. Or kailangan na dedicated yung cellphone na yun para doon. Kasi dapat ma-check din itong metadata and all the information na kukunin doon. So, yun din, i-clarify din natin yun. But rest assured na lahat naman itong clarification namin is para wag magkaroon ng problema at mas maging effective itong implementation natin. From the very start naman na nasabi natin na will be cooperative. In fact, we requested the Supreme Court para magbigay ng mga guidance sa amin. We submitted to them our proposed operational guidelines para makonsider nila. And most of the provisions or the resolutions na galing sa kanila na binigay sa atin, ang pinagbasihan naman doon itong aming draft or proposed guidelines.
General, nung nag-uumpisa kayo, sabi niyo magte-train din kayo. You need training, di ba? Kasi syempre, kailangan din ito, tama yung angulo ng pulis. Baka sabihin nila, hindi naman nakunan niya ng camera namin eh.
Yes.
Yun na nga, yung kulang kayo ng mga devices. So realistically, kailan nyo pwedeng i-implement to fully? How much time do you need?
Well, based on the Supreme Court resolution, after na ito is
Publication.
ma-publish na and then may labas na sa official gazette, it could be effective already. Pero kami nga, magko-communicate kami sa kanya through the court administrator para maklaro itong mga issues na ito para mas maging effective yung aming implementation. And from there, maghihintay kami ng guidance sa kanila. So, alam mo, talagang this is major adjustment sa amin. Kasi napakaraming dapat na ayusin pa, pati sa training ng ating mga pulisan. At kung titingnan natin doon sa mga guidelines na naandun, practically all the arrests that we are going to do, talagang dapat documented. And this will be submitted, all of this, to the court, ito mga ito. So, you can just imagine that every case or every arrest that we will make, meron tayong parang storage device or yung itong USB thumb drive natin na laging i-attach natin doon para isubmit sa korte.
So kaya nyo ba yung full implementation within the yung period na ini-specify ng Supreme Court? Kailan nyo kaya yung full implementation? I don't think kaya ninyo after the publication sa official gazette.
Well, admittedly, hindi talaga kaya yun na AMI at yun nga rin yung ipaparating natin sa kanila. Anyway, nagsimula naman tayo sa wala, ano ba naman kung ayusin natin yan, di ba? Ang importante, sinisimulan natin yan. Pero yung nakita kasi namin, we were expecting na yung mga body-worn camera initially ang talagang gagamitin lang natin. Kaya nga kami, dahil kulang yan, kami lumalapit sa mga generous groups and individuals and LGUs for their donation para makumpleto natin yung madagdagan yung body-worn camera. Pero dahil nga sa kanilang guidelines, ay sinasabi na may alternative recording device. At yun ngayon, ang isang pinag-aaralan din natin. So practically, kung wala kang body-worn camera, you should be using at least two alternative recording device, which ito yung ating cellphone. Pero ayun nga, dapat siguro may sarili talaga kami dedicated cellphone na gagamitin doon na sa ngayon ay wala pa naman kami.
Okay, just to give us an idea of the shortfall in terms of the number of gadgets, no? Mga on the average ba, how many search and arrest warrants does the PNP have to serve on any given day?
Depende kasi yan na Luchi, kasi we have around 1,500 police stations aside from the other units sa mga provincial, regional level.
Yes.
So, depende rin. Meron iba na araw-araw naman. Kasi ang warrant of arrest, ito kasi hindi lang ito search warrant, Luchi. It involves also implementation or service of warrants of arrest. So, practically, pati yung
Kaya-
dapat covered na, documented na. And including actually, pati yung warrantless arrest, yung mga walang warrant na pag ina-arrest
Oo,
natin,
yun ang mahirap, kaya nga
as much as
tinatanong ko
practicable.
kasi
Kaya nga, oo.
yes,
Oh,
diba?
so,
So,
kaya nga,
hindi
sir.
nyo malalaman at
Oo.
any given time kung ilan ang kakailanganin ninyo, di ba?
Yes.
So, I guess the next question is, paano pag naubusan yung ng gadget, will you still move forward and carry out the arrest warrant or the search warrant?
Hindi naman maubusan ng gadget kasi ang gagamitin naman nating gadget is yun din lang naman yun eh. Kung body-worn camera na issued dyan, yun pa rin gagamitin namin. Kung cellphone naman na dedicated for that, di yun ang gagamitin sa mga operation.
Hindi, pero
yung
kung
storage
marami,
device,
simultaneous sa isang police station, you have to serve X number of arrest warrants, you have to do X number of searches. Will it come to a point where kulang?
Hindi
And
naman.
if so, hindi naman mangyayari
Hindi
yun.
naman yun kasi pwede naman na, for example, warrant of arrest, ang ating namang mga warrant officer, yan naman isa pwedeng pumunta doon sa isang lugar para iserve isang warrant of arrest, then lilipat naman sa kabila. So the same gadget
So yan
or...
lang ang gagawin
Yes,
niya.
hindi naman talaga.
The whole
Pero sir,
day.
So,
we're
kumbaga,
talking
sir,
about warrantless and we're talking about both warrantless and warranted arrests. So in
Yes,
which case
warrant,
potentially any policeman needs to be theoretically
Yeah.
needs to be equipped with something like this. Kasi any
Right.
policeman
But
at any time will have to
practically,
make an arrest.
This is more applicable on planned operation.
Yes,
Yeah, so halimbawa may search warrant. Kasi search warrant naman, mag-a-apply ka dun eh. So pag nag-apply ka, and then malalaman dun kung meron ka bang issued na body-worn camera or wala. Kasi kung wala, pwede naman dun na ang gagamitin mo and ima-manifest mo dun na alternative recording device ang gagamitin mo. So pag serve mo ng search warrant, ayun na, dapat recorded siya.
So, I
ngayon,
think- I'm sorry. Siguro po, I think one thing we're trying to understand is, habang limitado yung supply natin ng camera, hindi naman to yung one-to-one na i-assign sa hindi to parang
Hindi bawat isa.
issued na baril na bawat ikaw, ito sa iyang baril na yan. Ito is permission. Linilipat-lipat, i-apply na o kailangan namin ng body cam kasi meron kaming isa-serve na warrant. Ganon.
yes, Rob, tama ka doon. So, kagaya ng body-worn camera, for every police unit or police station na in-issue nito, 16 sets. Actually, 16 cameras. And 4 of them ay may live streaming capability. But all of them can record. Yun naman importante doon di ba? Yung mare-record mo.
Pero yun nga
So,
po.
ito mga, so 11-6 na yun, isang police unit yun. And then, pasa-pasa na lang siya kung anong klaseng operation. Now, for the majority, o sabihin natin more than 90% of our police units, wala pa kaming body-worn cameras. Pero, ang sinabi ng Supreme Court, gumamit kayo ng alternative recording device, which, basically yung cellphone natin, naglagay sila doon ng specs. Ang specs na yun is kagaya ng specs ng body-worn camera. Napakataas nun.
Yes,
Actually,
sir.
wala tayong
720p,
cellphone. Wala tayong cellphone ngayon na gano'ng specs. Pero parang may isang kulatilya doon na pwede kayong gumamit ng iba as long as pwede siyang clearly makapag-record. Pero ika-clarify po namin kung pwede ba talaga yun.
Yeah.
Kasi kung pwede yun,
Yeah, kasi-
we can use our cellphone. Pero mas maganda kasi kung may dedicated na cellphone, hindi yung personal na cellphone.
But
Kasi
but almost by definition, therefore, malaking tulong na po ito. Hindi naman namin minamaliit yung malaking pagbabago to. Like you said, we're starting from zero. So this is welcome news. But this also means that almost by definition, let's say, hot pursuit will not, chances are, will not be captured by any camera.
Yes. Yeah, probably. Ganun yan. At saka pati ito naman, hindi ibig sabihin na hindi mo na-record is may problema ka na. Well, of course, kung ma-establish mo na
Yun nga.
may reason kung bakit hindi mo na-record yun, yun naman ay justified.
Yeah,
Pero kung
actually,
na-find out
yan nga po yung yan nga po yung nire-raise din ng National Union of People's Lawyers, no? Now, what justifications might be acceptable? Because it might be hard if the police just says, wala na,
Lobat,
ubusan na
lobat.
kami ng baterya.
Yeah, lobat,
Or kasi inon namin nung umpisa pa lang nung operation kahit wala pa yung tao ron or whatever, no? Because they can come up with any kind of justification. So which one would be acceptable? Isn't that a question mark also as far as you're concerned?
Well, ang acceptable is reasonable. So, malaman natin kung ano talaga mga circumstances na pangyayari. Lalo na kung kasi naman, mostly ito kasi yung pang-plant operation like search warrant, di ba? So dapat prepared tayo dyan. Kung halimbawa wala kang body-worn camera at cellphone lang, talaga napakahirap ng paano naman yung pagsugod mo, nakahawak ka ng cellphone. Di ba? So hindi siya designed for
Hirap
that.
talaga.
Ang cellphone is not designed for that.
Yes, sir. I was
Body-worn camera,
reading
talagang
Section
design
4. I was reading Section 4. Ang sabi doon sa alternative recording devices, 720, pasok naman ang cellphone doon, pero you need 8 hours continuous recording capability. Hindi kaya ng
Kaya ba
cellphone
natin
yun.
yun, ng 8 hours, di ba?
Meron ding kailangan night mode or infrared na wala rin ang mga
Kasi
cellphone.
hindi pwede ikat Hindi mo pwede ikat kasi yung makikita sa counter, yung
Well,
di ba? Na, oops, nag-cut at merong
Yes, sir.
inedit out or hindi kinuhanan.
So
no?
medyo
may
problemado,
mga
sir,
ganyan.
yung alternative recording devices requirements.
Luchi, unahin ko po sa inyo ha, hindi namin to tinataguan o tinatalikuran.
No, I know.
Kami
And-
talaga
and
nag-encourage.
we're not
Alam nyo,
questioning
totoo
this
lang,
at all.
ito po talaga, pang-professionalize sa amin eh. Kasi, kiniklaim namin, we're doing it based on our protocol. Bakit namin itinatago kung properly kami? I-document natin yan. Kasi merong iba kasi, alam mo, may experience kami na, ito, nakwento lang sa akin, isang kasama kong officer kanina, na one of their search, properly nilang sinearch yan. Talagang inobserve nila. Pero pag-alis nila, ito ngayon may-ari ng bahay, sinira yung mga gamit nila. Oo, winasak, and then, pinapunta sa video at sinabi, ganun ang ginawa ng ating mga pulis. Buti na lang, merong kakilala siya ng isang tao doon na alam na hindi natin magagawa yun. So, it will work both ways eh.
General,
So,
obviously, ang ideal talaga is marami tayo nung camera. Sino ba nagmamanufacture niya? Saan galing yan? Tsaka magkano ba yung mga camera na? How hard is it to source these body-worn cameras?
Ito, it underwent talagang bidding process kaya natagalan dyan. Pag bidding process, lahat pwede papasok. And then, nagkaroon nga tayo ng savings dyan pa na parang something like 40 million para may ibang procurement tayong ginawa. But the point is, properly documented yung niya. So, hindi ko masyadong kabisado kung sino lalong supplier dyan. But only almost 3,000 lang na units itong na-provide sa atin. Yun nga, sinasabi natin dito, ito talaga, ang design niya is hindi pwede siyang itamper. Hindi nga siya yung na-record para idala sa korte. Doon mismo siya kukunin. Kaya nga ito, sa pag-usap namin kanina, nung technical, pwede siyang ma-record sa isang storage device, isubmit doon, pero hindi man mabubuksan ng korte. So yun din ang i-raise namin sa kanila. Unless gusto nila makita mismo sa system namin. Kasi yan, sa docking station, pag nilagay yung body-worn camera, automatic yan, na yan ay malilipat na doon sa tatlong pupuntahan. Una, doon sa ating storage sa police station. Now, doon sa aming sa command center namin sa Krame. And merong isang lugar ngayon na para na-maintain siya sa loob ng PLDT yan eh. So ito, tatlo, hindi mo pwedeng basta-basta mabago lahat sa mga yan. So yung isang challenge natin na kung paano padadala sa korte itong recording na ito. Now, hindi namin iniisip na kailangan pala, kung wala kaming body-worn camera, kailangan cellphone or any other alternative recording device. So ang point naman natin, wala naman kaming cellphone na issued para sa mga tropa namin. Kumbaga personal yan. So,
General, kaya ako po
isang-
tinatanong, never mind the bidding process, as you said, nag-pre-qualify naman, qualified naman. But precisely, that begs the question, kung meron ng qualified suppliers at everything is above board, ano po yung pumipigil sa atin yan? Is it just a matter of budget? I ask also because,
Yes,
as you said,
budget.
there might be
Yes,
people
Rob.
and groups watching who want to support the police. Budget lang po ba ang balakid ngayon to getting the supplies?
Tama, budget yun. Pero kami nga, di ba kami nga, bali sinabi nga namin, nag-invite kami ng mga generous groups, individuals, and LGUs na pwede kang mag-sponsor for a police unit para magkaroon dyan. Ang isang set dyan ay umaabot ng 2 million pesos base dun sa binanggit ng ating Directorate for Logistics. So, sila mag-uusap na ng supplier niyan para kung magkasundo, di donation sa atin yan. So, it consists of around 16 cameras, and then may kasama na rin kasi nga server yan, may kasama yung command center. So, isang package na siya na compatible and with interoperability doon sa buong PNP. So, ito ngayon, napakaganda na body-worn cameras talaga ma-distribute natin sa labas kasi diyan naka-pattern yung aming guidelines. Pero nga, nakalagay dun sa sinasabi ng ating resolution ng Supreme Court na alternative recording device must be used in the absence of body-worn cameras.
General, ginawa to for you to promote human rights. Ano? On the other hand, meron din mga nag-aalala about privacy laws. Are you coordinating with the Privacy Commission? Kasi paano naman yung ibang mga tao na ayaw naman nilang makita yung pagmumukha nila dun sa camera na, ay naku, inaresto kami ng pulis. So, there is that concern also among citizens. Ano? Magagarantiyahan nyo ba yung safety ng information? Especially kung cellphone ang gagamitin, isang pindot lang dyan. Kakalat na yun sa buong mundo. Can you guarantee the protection of any data that you will gather in the course of your implementation of this order?
Kasama dun sa
Cannot be
guidelines.
duplicated, di ba?
Yes, kasama
Can you
sa
duplicate
guidelines
it? Yeah.
na binigay nung Supreme Court ngayon na lahat ng operation natin, una, merong unredacted, yung buo na kopya. Pero dapat i-check natin yung para tanggalin yung mga, I'm talking about yung mga dapat natanggalin na hindi dapat makita doon. So, dalawa ngayon yung files na ipapadala natin
Hindi
doon sa
may mag-edit pa nun.
yung unang buo at saka pati yung parang na-edit na, tinanggal yung masiselan.
But doesn't that defeat the purpose of the counter? Kasi ang alam ko nga po, dun sa report, is may counter siya, so malalaman mo na, oops, may inedit out na portion. So actually, ang alam ko po ay you have to submit the entire evidence so that it can be viewed from beginning to end without cuts. That's what I understand from it. So
Yes, tama yun.
actually, yeah.
Kaya nga 2 files, siya yung una, talagang unedited, yung buong buo. Yung pangalawa, yung wala na doon yung mga bagay na hindi dapat na ando na. Well, of course, it's para sa korteng kopya yon. Now, yung sinasabi nating privacy, hindi pwedeng makakita kahit sino man yan.
Yes.
Before you submit that to the court, ang pwede lang makakita niya is the subject of the arrest. Pangalawa, kung minor yung arrested natin or subject, yung kanyang parent or guardian. Or kung it so happen naman na namatay itong subject natin, yung kanyang designee or maaaring kamag-anak. And yung mismong custodian. Aside from that, walang iba makakita niyan. And pwede ipakita lang yan before na isubmit sa korte. Pag nakita na sa korte, bahala ng korte mag-decide kung sino makakita. So the media cannot just access itong mga videos and audio recording na ito.
O kung gusto pala namin, paano? Do we need to file a request with the court?
Yes.
We need to file a request with the court.
Tama yun. Hindi namin pwedeng ibigay sa inyo.
Yan ang
Nobody can access that.
Hirap naman yan.
Hindi, yun
Yan
ang
ang
May
sinasabi
pala
ko.
mahihirapan dito.
Yes.
Kaya nga,
Pero
Yan
once
yung,
na ito kasi, once na, for example, may namatay, or anong nangyari is that the law enforcers sila yung naharas. For example, ito ngayon, merong aksidente na nangyari. So ito ngayon, magiging parang public property nito or for public consumption na siya. Pero kung hindi ito pasok doon sa ganung mga circumstances, so you need the court consent para ma-access itong mga recording na ito.
of course, pwede pa rin sumama media. No? Tatanungin namin.
Yes, pwede pa rin.
Ang mga operation niya, pwede pa rin
I-encourage sa atin yun. So, ito talaga bago sa atin lahat. At kaya nga sinasabi natin, hindi naman kailangang madaliin to. But ito kasi, when preparing for this, pero syempre, mga bagong provisions and guidelines na inilabas ng ating Supreme Court through the resolution, kaya ito ngayon yung pinag-uusapan na aming TWG na gusto din namin ilapit sa kanila dun sa aming mga concerns and the issues na tingin namin will be clarified by the Supreme Court through the court administrator. So siguro within this week or probably next week ay lalapit ulit kami sa court administrator para ilapit itong mga issue concern for clarification para mas maging effective, mas maganda ang implementasyon natin ito.
Yes, sir, let's talk about timetables. Realistically, by when do you want or do you expect, kasi earlier we're talking about 30,000 units is that the final number that you're targeting, and by when do you intend to have this all in?
Yes, Ed, kagaya sinabi nga natin, for body-worn camera, yan ang kailangan natin na for all our units na meron tayong adequate number of cameras. Pero yun nga, base doon sa guideline ng Supreme Court, hindi na kailangang intayin pa yun kasi sinasabi nila, we should use alternative recording device.
So you might not go for the 30,000 anymore?
Pero hindi na, habang wala pa, is pwede na itong mga cellphone na ito. Pero yung paggamit ng cellphone nga, i-clarify din natin kasi yung ba mga personal cellphone namin, yung nagagamitin natin, yung ba kasi ang sabi ng aming sa mga technical team natin, is dapat yung cellphone na yun, hindi na, kumbaga dapat part ng evidence na. Or mas maganda,
nakatabi na yan.
Meron kaming sariling cellphone, at least 2 cellphone na gagamitin para sa ganung operation. At hindi yung personal cellphone na gagamitin.
Sir, yung mga action cameras ngayon, nasa 500 na lang, 500, 600. Yung mga 1080p, that's pretty good already. But anyway.
Yes, no, that's true.
Sagot na ni Ed. Sagot na ni Ed. Maraming salamat, Ed Linggao.
We will clarify that also. I-clarify po natin. Kasi merong specs. Actually, yung specs na nilagay nila doon, yung actually specs ng aming body-worn camera. Pero kaklarify namin na pwede ba kahit hindi ganun ang specs, pwede na bang gamitin yun? So, all of these things naman, isasama namin doon sa aming i-raise na clarification sa court.
Kasi
sir, sa kabilang banda naman ng tanong kanina ni Lucy, you said nga na, the standard for kung legit is, the standard is reasonability. No? If for any reason, hindi na record, basta reasonable. Now, without defining what reasonable is, kung hindi reasonable yung rason, what are the penalties and what are the implications for the case?
Well, una-una, pwedeng may contempt of court yan. So, depende na sa korte kung anong magiging sanction na ibibigay doon sa ating police. And definitely, it could affect the admissibility of the evidence na makukuha. So, pwede maging non-admissible yan and then magiging resulta sa pagiging acquittal or wala magiging basis para tumakbo yung kaso laban doon sa suspect.
Pero kung kung bumalik ngayon sa base yung police na walang recording pero wala siya recording pero meron siyang to his mind or his or her mind reasonable reason, na kanino yung burden of disputing that or proving that? I mean, do we proceed on the assumption that no, you have to satisfy us, or do we proceed from the assumption that okay, may presumption of regularity dito?
Well, in the affidavit of arrest to be done by the arresting officer, ilalagay niya lang yun doon, yung mga circumstances na yun. And then, pwede naman pagbasihan pa rin yun, all of these instances na nangyari, circumstances, para doon sa kapay ng kaso and other pieces of evidence na will form part of the investigation in the filing of case. So, isasama na yun doon sa affidavit of arrest ng mga circumstances na nangyari, bakit hindi na i-record siya.
Yeah, on the ground lang, curious lang ako, no? What if there are let's just say 6 cops to the team that will be making the arrest, no? Who will be wearing the camera, the body-worn camera? How many will be wearing? Yung mga ganong tanong ba? And who will make the decision as to when the camera should start to roll? Paano ba yun? I just wonder, how does it work exactly on the ground when they're already operating?
Doon sa resolution ng Supreme Court, nakalagay doon at least 2. So kung may body-worn camera ka, at least meron pang isa. Kung wala kang ganun, 2 alternative recording device. Meaning to say, dapat minimum na 2 nagre-record. And well, it's up to the team leader ngayon kung sa tingin niya, sino ba dapat na magsusuot dyan. Basically, yung mga arresting officers, yun ang dapat. Or yung entering party, kung in the case of search warrant. So, yun ngayon. Kaya nga, alam mo, bago pati ng ating sa aming mga program of instruction, sa aming training, incorporate na natin yan. So, sa simula pa lang, talagang ititrain na. Lalo na, talagang while we are claiming na talagang yung police operational procedure is being followed in the conduct of any arrest, talagang ito documented na. Kaya talagang mas maganda, i-review natin lahat yan. And ang bottom line dyan is talagang magiging mas professional ang ating police in the conduct of operation at makakatulong sa atin yan sa credibility at pati na rin yung ating patuloy na pagkuha ng respeto at tiwala ng ating mga kababayan.
General, ang nag-umpisa na itong body cameras was PDEA. And they've been doing it for some time na. No? Did you talk to them about their experience? In fact, ang original nila, pasasamahin daw media sa lahat ng drug operation nila. Pero mukhang hindi naman natuloy. Did they share their experience with you using the body camera?
Nakapag-usap naman kami niyan kasi recently nga, nagkaroon pa kami ng signing of joint operational procedure ng PDEA. At basically kasi yun, ginawa nila on their own na nare-record nila for purposes na nado-document, di ba? Lalo na sa mga pag-file ng cases. At ginagawa din naman yan ng ating police. Well, PDEA kasi is, we can say that dahil nga sa kukunti lang sila, and sila talaga yung parang lead agency, we can say the elite unit. And we have also that unit in us, yung ating PNP Drug Enforcement Group. Pero just the same, sa ngayon kasi, itong paggamit ng body camera, I believe na pati sila is kasama na rin dito sa nilabas na guideline ng Supreme Court. Kaya I believe na pinag-aaralan nila itong mga provisions incorporated in that resolution.
On another matter, sir, what do you have to say about in that same decision of the Supreme Court, no, na bawal na nga ngayon kumuha ng arrest warrant sa ibang region or district na hindi naman covered, na hindi naman kung saan hindi naman naganap yung krimen or wala naman dun yung huhulihin?
Well, alam mo kasi, naging base yan kasi natin yan, kaya naman na-request yan at naging ganyan yung guideline noon is dahil meron din iniiwasan kasi yung leak ng information. Kaya nga, well, hindi natin sinasabi, but nangyayari din naman na kung sa isang lugar pag nag-apply ka, posible na hindi ka makakuha ng search warrant for familiarity, for whatever reason. Pero sinasabi nga natin ito na hindi naman talaga yan, rampant yan ganyan. So, itong only for Quezon City RTC or yung executive judge ngayon ng Quezon City at saka Manila, RTC ang binigyan ng dati ng authority na mag-issue anywhere in the Philippines. Pero ngayon nga, hindi na yon. Pero pwede pa rin basta within the judicial region. Doon mismo sa region lang. So yun, isang issue rin na talagang desisyon naman ng Supreme Court yan. And they have the authority to do that. So, sa amin naman is maapektuhan din kami kasi instead na makakuha kami ng for example ng search warrant for example in Mindanao or Visaya na dito namin kukunin lang na talagang mas kumbaga safeguarded itong pag-leak ng informasyon, mapapawasan na yun. Kasi kung sa Visayas, we have to go to Visayas mismo doon sa region na yun para kumuha ng search warrant. So, basically on the feedback of our operating units is malaking epekto sa amin yun. Pero just the same, we have to abide with the guideline or the resolution ng Supreme Court. But probably, pwede rin sigurong i-raise din namin yan doon sa aming discussion kung sakali man na bigyan kami ng opportunity.
Okay, PNP Chief General Guillermo Elizar. Sir, always a pleasure to have you on board. Maraming salamat po. Tingnan po.
Salamat po.
Thank you, General.
We'll just go into a break, so please stay with us.
Welcome back to Chief Zero on One News. Now joining us is Attorney Edre Olalia, President of the National Union of People's Lawyers. Good evening, Attorney Olalia.
Hi, good evening ulit. Good evening po sa inyo lahat.
Hi, Attorney, narinig niyo naman yung kwentuhan natin with General Eliazar. You know, bagamat na marami kaming tanong, everything I think is really starting from a perspective of excitement even. Alam natin, matagal na nating inaantay ito talagang, even sense of urgency. But just to bring us back, kasi dami natin pinag-usapan na rules, mga technical requirements, and so on, just to bring us all back what this is about. No? Could you remind us, remind the public of cases at the top of your mind, incidents at the top of your mind that had we had this in those moments, how different things could have turned out?
Yes, Robbie. But to start with, if you remember, what really triggered this public demand, yung case ni Kian, remember? I guess that was in 2017.
Yes.
That proved that if there was a recording, then the facts of the case can be established without any contradiction. Tapos, nag-umpisa yan, March 2019. Alam mo, 14 farmers sa Negros napatay. Sa search to, hindi arrest, ha? Tapos yung sila IC Salen, kasamahan nyo sa profession, yung sa Manila Today, yung Human Rights Day 7, no? Kasama din yan. At tapos si Ina Nasid, no? Na-cover din yan, yung namatay yung sanggol, naalala nyo? Yung sa Manila. Kasama po yan sa search at na-arrest siya. Tapos ito, may listahan ako itong tumandok, ito, kaka-quash lang ng search warrant, no? Na balitaan nyo na siguro. Yung siyam na naman na namatay doon sa tumandok. And then, ang pinakahuli, yung tawag ng mga kliyente namin na Bloody Sunday, March 7 of last year, 9 na naman. So, at least doon sa 5 instances na yon, alam nyo, 32 yung napatay. So, yan yung tapos nagkakaroon ng dispute. O ano ba? Nanlaban ba? Bakit sabi ni Dr. Portod, puro sa dibdib ang tama, di ba? Nabasa natin yan. So, doon yun ang context nito, bakit umaksyon ang Korte Suprema, as a matter of fact, 139 lawyers, no, of different persuasions, law professors, wrote the Supreme Court March 22 of this year, asking for these specific reforms and giving these specific recommendations because of these incidents po.
Okay.
Are you satisfied with what they came up with?
Yes, certainly. In principle and generally, we are very, very happy and relieved, as a matter of fact, no? Because this is borne by the struggle and experience, no? And while not all our recommendations were incorporated, and then I already mentioned that there are potential areas of controversy or even circumvention, for that matter, no? Or loopholes or gray areas. By and large, yes, this is a big step to protect rights, and dapat makita din yung part ng pulis to also protect them para ma-assert nila wala namang kung ginawang kalokohan. So it works both ways. So we are satisfied as it is, no? But although there are still certain provisions that we wish would have been incorporated. For instance, very quickly, why do you have to implement a search warrant at 2 o'clock in the morning? When you could possibly do that during daytime when the subject of the search can have access to lawyers, di ba? Bigla na lang this oras ng gabi, darating sila ng 1:00 ng madaling araw, pero ang search gagawin 3:00 kasi meron na nauna sa kanila. So, yung mga ganyan. Tapos, sa ibang bansa, kasama yung DA, no? Yung district attorney, kung napansin nyo, pag may mga operation ng police, to ensure na walang irregularidad. At tapos, dun sa other aspect na yung territorial jurisdiction, okay na sa amin yun. May nabalik doon sa old rule na hindi pwede yung Cebu mag-search dun sa Bacolod, Manila magsa-search sa Tumandok. Pero ang recommendation namin sana, halimbawa, concretely, National Capital Judicial Region, di lahat ng city natin. Mag-apply ka pa sa Manila, pwedeng ma-serve sa Muntinlupa, no? Or Marikina, no? Pero ang gusto namin, bakit ka lalayo? bakit hindi doon sa Karatig? Bakit hindi sa Quezon City or San Juan or yung ano ba yung Karatig? But anyway, by and large, we're finding it. It's a big step, actually.
But attorney, of course, the devil will be in the implementation. Ano? What are your
Oo.
biggest concerns in terms of actual use of the cameras?
Oo, yung operationalization, no?
Yes.
Yan talaga, yung on the ground. Naghahanay kami at least 7, no?
Okay.
Una, yung number. Nabanggitan ni Luchito Oo. Paano kung 30 yung sumugod? Sabay-sabay. Ganun ang kalalasan namin, ha? Sabay-sabay. Aakyat, papasok, ang gulo-gulo. 2 lang yung mandatory, di ba? Oo. Pangalawa, nabanggit na rin kanina, sino magsusuot? Yung magsiserve ba ng warrant? Yung team leader ba? Yung backup ba? Yung advance team ba? Di ba? Subjective, di ba? Sasabihin ng polis, nasa amin diskarte yan. May problema doon. Pangatlo, eto medyo technical, no? Kasi medyo nag-research ako nung gano'ng katagal ba talaga ang battery life? 8 hours yung sinabi. Pero may nakita ko, pero I'm not a techie, no? Pero may nakita ko, may 9, may 14, may 17 hours. Pero nonetheless, kahit 8, sana may backup, di ba? Pag alam na patapos na yung 8, ikaw na. Ikaw na yung susunod para masasalo yung gap, walang gap. And then, ito medyo mas malaking terrain of controversy or dispute. When do you actually activate? Di ba? Kasi sa experience namin, 2 teams yan. Isang mauuna, incognito, tapos isang official.
Yung may magbibigay.
Oo, tapos may pangatlo pa nga, yung susundo sa barangay. So lalabas, 2:00 yung search, pero meron palang 1:00 na palang. Umakyat na, pinababa na yung mga huli, pinadapa na at pinaharap na sa wall. And then yung malfunction, ay nako. Sabi ni General, meron yatang capacity for streaming, pero hindi lahat no? Paano kung sabihin, nakalimutan namin yun, ano ba yan, sa Taranta? Biglang nag-lobat, i-charge namin kanina yan. Yung mga ganung mga bagay, malfunction. And then, yung medyo maraming, maraming instances na hanay yung korte, very reasonable naman. Pero may mga concerns din kami na halimbawa dun sa pag-uusap daw sa di umano confidential agent. Alam nyo, sa kadalasan, yun ang experience namin, yung confidential agent, fictitious. Naging basis nga yan ng quassion na ibang arrest kasi nung tinanong sa barangay, meron ba itong si XYZ dyan sa barangay? Wala.
So ano gusto nyo mangyari doon? Halimbawa,
syempre,
dapat video rin yun.
Dapat kailangan ma-establish na talagang yung confidential agent ay tunay, no? Sabihin, huwag gamiting dahilan. Yan naman ang point namin. Of course, syempre, we will give the benefit of the doubt, may presumption. Pero ang sinasabi lang namin, we anticipate based on abundant experience. In fact, gumamit ang court ng reasonable grounds, no? Subjective yan. Amorphous, no? Napag-usapan nyo na kanina. Medyo amorphous, no? What is reasonable? So, ang naman namin dyan, nire-raise lang naman namin yan. So, it's not a perfect document, but by and large, generally, it is a most welcome advancement for the protection of rights and also the protection of our police officers. We don't want to tie the hands of our police officers, not at all.
Yeah.
In the legal, legitimate operations, not at all. We want to be very clear about that. We just want to ensure that rights are protected and that the performance of official duty is in fact followed.
Attorney, the fact is that not everybody in an operation will be getting a camera or using a camera, di ba? At the most, you probably have only 2 and that's if you're lucky. And you may have as many as 30 in one operation. I'm wondering if you have any concerns about the possibility that the existence of at least 2 cameras in an operation already lends a veneer of regularity on the entire operation, even if something went awry or something went wrong. The fact that you have two videos that do not show anything wrong, whereas you would have possibly 28 other operatives who do not have any videos.
Yun nga, ito sa search to, lalo na sa search. Siguro yung issuing judge should really be circumspect. Alamin niya ilan ba ang taong sa tropa nyo na mag-ooperate na yan? And dami pala niyan, kulang yan 2. Di mamandatuhin ng judge na dagdagan nyo yan ng an alternative recording device. Kasi imposible na ma-cover nyo kasi meron dito sa rules ang sinasabi as number as necessary to record the relevant incidents of the operation. Nakalagay naman dyan So, ibig sabihin, meron ding judicial determination, na sabihin, teka muna, Captain, hindi pa pwedeng isa dalawa lang yan kasi malaking operation nyo. So, pwedeng
Okay ba
magkaroon
sa
ng
inyo yung
right.
ibang gadget? Okay
Ano
sa
po
inyo
yan?
yun?
Ay,
Okay
oo.
ba sa inyo na kasi sinabi rin dun sa reso, di ba, na dapat pwedeng may alternative gadget. That's fine with you.
Given the number, 2,600 lang di ba?
Yeah.
Tapos 30,000 daw ang kailangan nila general. Okay na yan for now. Kasi marami namang may smartphone Yung mga ating kapulisan naman, may mga smartphone din naman yan. So better than nothing, no? At least merong backup sila, no? At tapos you have to also note, merong provision po dyan, meron din right yung subjected to arrest or search na to record.
Okay.
Meron yan. So,
Yes,
may counter check, no?
Right,
May counter check
right.
yan. So, hindi pwedeng bawalan po. Hindi po pwedeng kunan. No, right yan. Diyan sa sa rules
pero,
yan. So,
pero naalala ko nga, even with that reminder, Ed, nakasama ka na ba sa raid?
Matagal na.
Nakasama na ako sa raid
Bata
na,
pa.
totoo yun, kinukwento ko yan sa mga tao. Pag sumama ka sa raid, I think I remember at that time, they raided a house for suspected drugs. Mga 20 yung pumasok na ahente. And even if you had the right to record, you cannot record 20 people covering 6 rooms in your house all at the same time. So I think
And it takes a split second to plant
exactly.
evidence. I mean,
So ano po
diba?
ito, talagang labanan na, brute force yung labanan dito. Paramihan ng camera, di ba? Paramihan ng camera. So it goes back to that practical question, how do we speed it up? How do we get to the ideal point that we have enough cameras? Nabanggit na kanina ni General that of course they would welcome any support from other generous groups or other sectors. Yan po ba nakikita nyo could be part of something that the public might want to understand how an all of society approach to contribute to make this reality?
yes, we are reasonable people. So we take into account the circumstances, no? But let me just add, Robin, the body-worn cameras or even the alternative recording devices are not magic ones, no? In other words, if there is any dispute, we are not at a loss because there are testimonial evidence, there are forensic evidence that can complement, if not supplement, the recordings. So, magiging useful yan pag may dispute pero hindi pa pwede na, kasi pansinin nyo sa rules, nakalagay dyan na it does not substitute for testimonial evidence, di ba? Pero hindi nga nabanggit yung forensic mahalaga yung forensic kasi objective, fact yan na hindi pa pwedeng ma-interpret ng hindi professional. So, hindi naman talaga totally lost kung sakaling. But of course, the ideal is, kagaya sa ibang bansa, practically, halos lahat sila. Ngayon, ang problem pa nga dyan, yung warrantless arrest. Kasi hindi mandatory, di ba? Kasi as far as practicable na nakalagay dyan, with good reason. Kasi ma-anticipate mo ba may mangyayaring krimen before your very eyes na napapatrolya ka? Di ba? Tapos kung talagang naghahabulan, pero ano nga dyan, may injunction o kailangan as far as practical because it protects both parties. The police officer, because recording affects behavior di ba? If you know that you are being recorded, psychologically, people their behavior are affected. And bad behavior is being deterred. In fact, the Supreme Court itself said so, to deter the use of excessive force. That's one of the premises of the rules. And precisely, this is one of the good functions of these body-worn cameras.
Meron pang isang concern, attorney.
Sige po.
This development is widely welcomed. Kaya lang merong mga nagsasabi ngayon, baka daw lalong dumami yung mga vigilante killings dahil hindi na police. Is this a valid concern? Is this a big concern for you?
Certainly. From time immemorial, we never countenance the use of vigilantes. But the good thing is, I heard the general already said that they are also against it. No? Nabanggit kasi ni Presidente yan. Tapos, alam mo naman, pag nagsalita sa Presidente, hahabulin nila General, hahabulin nila Secretary of Justice para maayos. Ang sabi naman nila, hindi naman sila mag-arm ng vigilantes. So, kung may assurance na gano'n from the top level, edi at least na iibsawan yung aming concerns dyan. No? Pero ang reality, alam mo, pasensya na, I'll be very candid. No? Our problem is the trust of our public in our police force. Diba? Dati, pag alam mo darating police, kalmado ka Ngayon, pag alam mo darating police, kinakabahan ka Di ba? The trust is ano. Pero ang sabi namin siya, pagtiwala kayo sa pulis nyo. Di ba? May presumption. Sabi nga namin, alam nyo po, sana kung kasya na yung trust Ang problema, yung karanasan namin, medyo baliktad nung tiwala na inaasahan nyo sa amin So, kailangan tapatan nyo yung gusto nyong tiwala ng professionalism nyo doon sa nangyayaring realidad. Mamamatay, 32 in the course of several months, mag-i-import ka ng search warrant. Doon sa tumandok, sabi, sityo. Ay naku, delikado. Lahat ng bahay doon sa sityo na yan, pwedeng halugugin at samsamin yung mga gamit. And ang specificity and particularity of the description sa search to, is not only to deter abuse or fishing expeditions, it is to avoid mistakes. Bahay mo, Ami, nagkataon nandun ka sa isang townhouse na hindi sinabi ko ano dyan. Ay, lahat kayo, pwede. So we have to realize, bakit stricto tayo dyan sa mga specificity. So, yung ang gusto ko sana ihabol na maintindihan ng ating kapulisan, bakit, technical naman kayo masyado. No, this have rational over the years to protect individual rights against overreach of our state, which is very powerful.
Sir, and itong tanong ko, this is not, obviously this doesn't have to do with official body cams kasi ngayon pa lang naman mag-uumpisa. But yung video itself, nabanggit nyo kanina yung si Kian de los Santos, no? But what people understood was, outlier yan Sinuwerte lang naman tayo na merong video Now, we also emphasize the video does not take the place of testimony. But just the value of the video, I want you to talk to us about the value of video, whatever that is. Pagka nasa korte na, pagka inihain na yung video ko saan man nanggaling yon, how much does that help your cases?
Okay. Dalawa kasi, Robson, dalawa. One is admissibility, the other is the weight and sufficiency of the evidence. You have to overcome first the question of admissibility. Kasi dito sa rules, pag wala kang body cam, inadmissible, di ba? Dito pa lang, tapos na kagad. Pero assuming admissible, yung sabihin, tatanggapin ng korte. The next question is this credible? Is the integrity of the video preserved? Is it, did it accurately reflect all the angles of the relevant circumstances? Malaking bagay. Di ba, may recent experience tayo, yung pinatay ng pulis, yung lola, tsaka yung pulis din yung mag-ina, di ba? Video. How could you possibly dispute
yun
video?
tatanong ko
di ba? Mahirap sabihin ng pulis, hindi totoo na hindi ko. Paano magsisinungaling yung di ba? Siyempre, i-authenticate mo muna. Tapos kailangan na malaman natin ano yung time, ano yung circumstances. Maraming mga preliminaries yan. Pero malaking bagay yan, Robby. Malaking bagay talaga yan kasi hindi siya subjective di ba? The court can easily say, teka muna, mas maniniwala ko sa sinasabi nito kaysa sa sinasabi mo. Kasi it doesn't add up yung sinasabi mo doon sa nakikita ko sa video.
Okay.
Okay, maraming salamat po. Attorney Edre Olalia, the President of the National
salamat.
Union of People's
Salamat.
Lawyers.
Salamat, Attorney.
Attorney, salamat po.
Salamat, ingat.
Ingat po.
Salamat po.
Okay.
Okay, before we go, we'd like to greet the chairman of Signal TV and TV5, Mr. Manny Pangilinan. Okay, happy birthday.
Very happy birthday. 75th!
MVP,
75th
happy
birthday.
birthday.
Boss, happy birthday.
Okay, and that'll be all for this Wednesday edition of The Chiefs. We hope what that's discussed here will keep the conversation going. And before we go, remind to our viewers, mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I'm Ed Lingao.
I'm Mami Paminton of the Philippine Star.
I'm Lucy Cruz Valdez of News 5.
I'm Robbie Alampay and we are One News.